After acknowledging God's majesty with the sounding of shofar, and before we continue into the rest of our liturgy in our prayer books, I offer this sermon as an invitation for how we might approach this coming year, as individuals and collectively, despite the chaos that many of us feel in our everyday lives. I remember the first time that I looked up and saw the stars. It was the middle of the night, and I was running between cabins at summer camp with a group of my friends. For this boy who grew up in New York City, I remember first feeling frightened and shocked by the brilliance up above. The world experienced something similar this past July on a much grander scale when the James Webb Space Telescope captured the deepest views of the universe to date. Suddenly, we saw the celestial bodies like never before, some nebula and galaxies for the first time ever. Just like when many summers ago I noticed the Milky Way arrayed across our sky for the first time, those ultra-deep field images that NASA released this past summer have stunned researchers and opened everyone's eyes to the vastness of the universe. Of note, those images we received appear still and serene, but of course we know that they are anything but. Remember, the nebula and the stars originated in a Big Bang and continue to explode and expand, fiercely interacting. The laws of science dictate that anything far away will always look as if they're moving slowly, or not at all. Consider an airplane taking off in front of you. Up close, it takes just a second or two to whiz past, but an airplane going the same speed or faster at altitude, well, it looks to us on the ground as if it's hovering still in the sky. Because the James Webb Space Telescope is so far away from the images it's capturing, they appear still. This illusion gives us a false impression about the fluidity and the chaos of the universe, filtering how we perceive creation unfolding all around. The word universe is also misleading, containing the Latin roots unus, one, and versus, which means revolving. The literal meaning of the word universe refers to that which is turned wholly in the same direction. In his recently translated work, Genesis, the story of how everything began, Guido Tonelli writes about the dissonance between the literal meaning of the word universe and the chaotic, swirling reality of the great beyond. As Professor Tonelli explains, the word universe is a residue of all of the ancient beliefs that invariably involve a stable and ordered system of rotating bodies. The Space Telescope has affirmed that much of the universe is not ordered or stable at all, but an ever-expanding collection of matter in flux. Much of the universe is, as our book of Genesis describes, tohu vavohu, chaotic and unformed. The distant chaos in our stars mirrors the chaos that many of us are feeling in our lives here on Earth. We have all, each and every one of us, been through so much recently, for the last 2.5 years, and even over these last 2.5 months. For so many of us, the depths of life's burdens and struggles, no doubt, weigh heavier than they have ever before. We're living through incredibly challenging times, individually and collectively, locally, nationally, and globally. Beyond the trauma from July 4th and the continued physical, mental, and spiritual suffering of so many in our community. Beyond the pandemic and its societal long-haul symptoms, there is so much that can make us feel like the ground upon which we walk is not steady. Whether it be continued anti-Semitism and security concerns, Russia's war on Ukraine and violence here at home, issues of injustice, worries about the economy, the ever-increasing toxic polarization of our society, and the list goes on. It all can feel like too much. I feel it too. Today, I want to suggest that the James Webb Space Telescope is more valuable to us than NASA could have ever imagined. The telescope's incredible technical design offers us wisdom into how we could better take in all of the chaos all around us in our everyday lives, and then work to transform that chaos into blessing in this new year. The first lesson that the telescope teaches us is about patience. Positioned 1 million miles out beyond the moon, the Space Telescope orbits at a distance away so that light from Earth, our moon, and even the sun will not interfere. In its optimal position, the telescope is directed at precise points in space for its instruments to capture the infrared light that we cannot see, but we feel as heat emanating from the early universe. The massive telescope peers out at a swath of space equivalent to the amount of sky covered by a grain of sand held at arm's length. And then it sits and waits the amount of time requested by its programmers on the ground. Photon by photon, it gathers data that are compiled together to create those majestic images we have all enjoyed for these past couple months. As countercultural as the notion has become, patience is a virtue for NASA's telescope and for us. As one business leader reflects, nowadays, when we're feeling hungry, we don't have to go through the painstaking process of preparing ingredients, mixing or sautéing them in a pan, and washing the dishes afterwards. A few taps on our phones is all it takes to order delicious food within the hour. If we're missing someone and we want to see them right away, we no longer have to wait for one or both of us to be free, for our schedules to clear up, or to travel great distances to see them. We have Zoom and FaceTime for that. With advanced technology, we enjoy instant gratification and have come to expect it like a basic right. At the same time, unfortunately, we are slowly forgetting what it means to be patient. We know that cultivating patience is even more difficult when we're experiencing chaos, faced with real emergencies or just scenarios that feel like emergencies in the moment. Let's be real. Who could tell the difference between the two anymore? Jewish tradition offers us step-by-step directions for navigating these stressful situations with patience. The insight comes in the quick succession of 5 verbs in Exodus, when Moses is faced with the stressful task of leading those frenzied Israelites across the Sea of Reeds and eventually onward to safety in the Promised Land. In English, the verse begins, Moses says to the people, "Collect yourselves." First, knowing that something must be done, stop running. al tira'u, do not be afraid. Second, with a deep breath, perhaps many, stand still and reorient yourself to the world. Hit yatzvu, collect yourselves. Next, really see the situation with clear mind. Uru, see. And only then, after stopping and quieting our racing thoughts, are we able to do as Moses invites, to be still. Tacharishu. Better prepare to decipher the chaos and make our next right move. Rather than reacting right away to that chaos, we can resist the urge and allow ourselves time to take in as much information as possible before making our informed choice about what to do next. Which brings me to a second lesson from NASA's telescope. It teaches us sometimes enough is enough. First, consider that in this pioneer year of the telescope's inquiry, there is only a possible 10,000 hours of observation time. Not that much, considering the number of inquiries and the sheer magnitude of space that remains uncharted. So it's up to 200 scientists to determine what is studied and what to postpone for another time based on 3 clear criteria. How much the proposal will impact knowledge within a subfield, how much it will advance astronomy in general, and whether this proposed idea requires the unique capabilities of this particular telescope to be successful. The intention is to study a diverse range of topics and not focus too long on any single matter. It's an approach that researchers hope will yield a more holistic understanding of space. And over time, the diversity of findings will help paint a broad picture. The decision was made to spend a set period of time on many tasks rather than just exploring a few for longer amounts of time. Because too focused a look can yield too narrow a scope of conclusions. Let me say that again. Too focused a look can yield too narrow scope of conclusions. That's the second lesson for us. Sometimes we need to simply cut ourselves off or redirect our focus in order to maintain a broader perspective of reality. At times, to maintain our sanity. This has been discussed a lot in relation to trends in social media and its negative impact on mental health. Professor Jeremy Tyler of the Perelman School of Medicine reflects, originally it was thought that people with social anxiety might benefit from social media use, since it can serve as a stepping stone for social interaction. In many cases, however, the pressure of gaining more likes and more friends has had the opposite effect. Instead of making people feel like they are more connected, it actually forces them to realize how disconnected they are. That was a problem for many of us who were using social media during the pandemic, often much more than in the before times, because, like the professor says, our use just reminded us how disconnected we were. Now, more than a year later, warns Nicole Fullerton of Penn Medicine News, pandemic-related challenges have slowed down, and social media feeds are swinging back to many of the same old pitfalls that have made them difficult for mental health for years. Misinformation, heavily edited photos. For those reasons, many professionals suggest limiting social media for the sake of our own wellness, inviting us to demonstrate more compassion for others, those profiles that we're viewing, as well as compassion for ourselves. Compassion to know when enough is enough. Again, Jewish tradition supports this teaching too. Our sages taught compassion is an extremely noble trait. It's one of the 13 attributes of God. Of course, they're referring to that verse in Exodus, Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, God compassionate and gracious, which the High Holy Day Machzor borrows as an introduction to our Torah service. Atop Mount Sinai, for the second time, God reminds Moses that the Eternal is compassionate and gracious. A divine reminder that as God's creations, formed in God's image, we too must always strive to be gracious and compassionate as well. To ourselves, to each other, to all things. As our clergy said in that video message that we shared with the congregation before the holiday, we invite you to bring with you to these high holy days a deepened sense of patience, kindness, and of compassion, first and foremost for yourselves, but also for your fellow congregants and for our NSCI staff. Extending our kindness towards each other will undoubtedly go a long way towards all of our eventual healing in this most challenging time for all of us. And just as our teshuvah and the soul work that this season invites is not supposed to end at Yom Kippur, well, we can also bring that practice of kindness and compassion with us into the new year. Cultivating such a practice, as all intentional rituals are designed to do, will help make it easier for us to deal with life's inevitable chaos that we experience each day. As my teacher, Rabbi Aaron Penkin of blessed memory, taught, our actions may not change the ultimate outcome one iota, but they'll alter our attitudes, bolster our ability to withstand challenges, help us handle unavoidable misfortune better, and see life's value amid the chaos and the dismay. In other words, Jewish tradition offers us tools, namely patience and compassion, to help us navigate life's most uncertain and chaotic moments. They are what we can rely on in order to transcend the harshness of life right now. There's something comforting about the longevity of the stars. Sure, stars die, as all things do, but given their lifespan relative to ours, it's remarkable how the same stars we'll see tonight in our sky are the same that I saw those many summers ago at camp, and the same light that has illuminated the dark nights since the beginning of time. They shine on, steadfast and enduring, despite all of the chaos all around. Both the stars and the James Webb Space Telescope, designed to capture their light, are models for us today. As we step into the new year of 5783, may we too utilize the gifts of patience and compassion for ourselves and for everybody else, as we individually and collectively navigate the uncertainty and the chaos here on earth. Shana Tova. May this year be one of blessing, healing, and of compassion for us all.